So this is the basic information about myself, and my topic is Gayatri Spivak and the subaltern theory. So first, I would like to give information about Gayatri Spivak. So Gayatri Spivak is an Indian scholar, literary theorist, and feminist critic. She is also a university professor at Columbia University, and she is founding member of the Establishment's Institute for Comparative Literature and Society, and she is considered as one of the most influential post-colonial intellectuals. Gayatri Spivak is best known for his essay "Can the Subaltern Speak?" This is also his most controversial essay, and her translation of and introduction to Jacques Derrida's De la Grammatologies is also well known. And she was awarded the 2012 Kyoto Prize in Arts and Philosophy for being a critical theorist and educator speaking for the humanities against intellectual colonization in relation to the globalized world. And in 2013, she received the Padma Bhushan, uh, the third highest civilian award given by the Republic of India. And she also utilized the method she also utilized the method and approaches from Marxism, feminism, and deconstruction that is also seen in his works also. About Spivak, about Gayatri Spivak, Landy observed that there is no doubt that Gayatri Spivak is one of the most remarkable and outstanding theorists in the post-colonial theory. Along with Said and Pabha, she is a prominent pillar of the so-called the post-colonial trilogy. And additionally, Spivak is one of the foremost feminist critics who have attained an international fame and eminence. And Spivak writing and field and interest are diverse, including her feminist perspective on deconstruction, her critique of imperialism and colonial discourse, her engagement with the Marxist critique of capital, and the international division of labor, and her critique of race is relation to nationality, ethnicity, and immigrant groups. So, in this article, Landy described that Gayatri Spivak is most important figure of the post-colonial theory, and she is also an important pillar of post-colonial trilogy, because her contribution to the post-colonial literature and the theory of subaltern. What The next we see is that what is subaltern. If we if we want to talk about subaltern theory, we have to understand the term what is subaltern. So subaltern is a subordinate position in terms of class, gender, race, and culture. And subaltern people are those people who are voiceless people, and written out of the historical record and ignored because their activities do not count for culture and structure. Because of their they are in minority, they are not counted as the culture and structure. So most of their activities and their works and all these things are not well known for other people, because they wrote less about, and they are voiceless people. And according to Spivak, the people who belong to third world countries is considered as a subaltern, and it is impossible for them to speak up, as they are divided by gender, class, caste, religion, and other narratives. And because of these all things, they are not stand up in unity, and this is the cause that they cannot speak, and their voice is not coming to the all people and in the global world. The subaltern is a term that the subaltern term is borrowed from the Italian Marxist Antonio Gramsci, and it is signify the oppressed class. And consequently, Spivak chooses to adopt the nation of the subaltern essentially because it is truly situational. It is not that that art that yeah, it is truly situational, and subaltern began as a description of a certain rank in the military. The word was used under conspiracy by Gramsci. He called Marxism and monism, and was obligated to call the proletarian subaltern. And that word under used under duress has been transformed into the description of evaluating that does not fall under strict class analysis. And this is so because it has no theoretical rigor. In this article, Spivak said that about this term, that the term is situational, and Gramsci uses this term as monism, and the obligation to call the proletarian as a subaltern. In next article, Spivak also argued about that this controversial statement that a subaltern cannot speak for himself or herself. Why it is happened? Because the very structure of colonial power, and we have to note here that it is used in the context of colonialism, and that colonial power prevent the speaking, and that is why they cannot speak for himself or herself. Next, we see that Ashcroft explained about subaltern, that according to him, what is subaltern. So he said that first of all, I would like to start with a general definition of the concept subaltern and its origin. Subaltern is a concept first used and coined by Antonio Gramsci, and to refer to those groups who are subject to the hegemony of the dominant classes, the people who are dominated by the people that upper the classes who are in power, they are called subalterns. And about subaltern, Coronil also explained that in her influential article, Can the Subaltern Speak? Spivak problematizes the production and retrieval of subaltern speech in the light of its dependence on controlling and dominant discursive practices, which define the modalities of expression of the subaltern subjects, and construct the position from which they speak or are heard. So, about the essay of Gayatri Spivak, Can Subaltern Speak? Coronil explained that it is the term that problematizes the binary oppositions that coming in the society, that some group of people are dependent on another people, and they have to be dependent because the dominant group have a power to control them, and because of that they are not able to speak and to resistance for themselves. And in this article, we see that Spivak challenges the widespread thesis that the intellectual or post-colonial historian can recover the voice and consciousness of the subaltern. This is also the controversial point in the essay that Spivak was written in the Can the Subaltern Speak? And for said. He said that unlike Spivak, there has been no major revolution in modern history without intellectual, and conversely, there has been no major counter revolutionary movement without intellectuals, and intellectuals have been the fathers the fathers are another of the movement, and others of the movements, and of course sons and daughters, even nephews and nieces. This is observation of said with the reference of essay of Gayatri Spivak. And if we look at the subaltern theory in India, we see that in the 1980s, the enterprising historians started subaltern studies as a project to reclaim and rewrite Indian historiography from the subaltern perspective. As all the literature are now reread with the different perspective, so in this context, all the texts are reread and rewrite with the concept of subaltern theory and its perspective. So we can see that how the subaltern people are suffering, and their situation of in that particular work or in a literary text. Further, we see Ranjit Guha took up the task to probe into the present movement of the past, which according to him were showcased as something monumental and outstanding by historians. And the theme that emerges across the early work undertaken by subaltern studies group is the relation between the marginalized classes and the anti-colonial movement of the 20th century. That power relationship is important point to be not to note in the subaltern theory, that some of the people are marginalized in the relationship, and some become the dominant at their level. So further, there is the observation of Biswas in the perspective of subaltern studies and the focus of subaltern studies. So he said that Guha believed that the politics of the subaltern did not constitute an autonomous domain, for it neither originated from elite politics nor did its existence depend on the latter. And the main focus of that subaltern studies is become the subordination. And in the context of subordination, the subaltern studies can be studied in the literature. Now I would like to explain the subaltern.
Just reading the things.
Yeah.
Totally.
In uh, I would like to explain that social formation with the subalterns that Gayatri Spivak has given in his essay also. So, if we take example of class, the working class become the subaltern, and capitalist persons, and that that industrialization, and that person who have a power, they become dominant, and they control the subalterns. So in capitalist bourgeois, we see that all these uh, person are controlling working class people in the capitalism. And in the example of empire, the social formation of empire, we see natives are the subalterns. If we look at the example of Friday in 4, we see that he is the native people, and he was dominated by the Crusoe and Susan Barton, because they are the civilized person, and they were controlling Friday, because Friday was native, and he is not he is the person who get chances to be free from that all boundaries. But as a subaltern, he is not even trying to free from that all binaries and all this boundaries. As Gayatri Spivak talked about the Bhuvaneshwari in his essay "Can Subaltern Speak?" She committed suicide, not because of other things, but she don't wanted to participate that in that association that he is signed for, but other people think that the other reasons are there for her suicide, but there was not the case. And if we look at the social formation of patriarchy, we feel it in our everyday life also, that women are from the childhood, the women are taught that you have to be a daughter, mother, sister, or wife, and that all womanhood things are taught to them that dependent on the men, or in the form of husband or brother or father. So that gender perspective is become the interesting topic in the study of subaltern. And if we look at the social formation of nation, some ethnic minorities and caste are become subaltern, and the majority people control them because they are in the majority, and they can and on the name of nationalism they can control them and suppress them with the name of nationalism. So in this way we connect social formation with the subalterns. And these are my citations, and thank you.